makes you think you can tell somebody to change? And when you've told somebody to change, how has it helped them? You see? So we try things that don't work over and over again and expect it to work. I think that's the definition of insanity. Go back to the basics. What is a man? Who is a man? Why did God create him like this? If you're if you really, I'll tell you the truth, if you really want to know, go to God. You wouldn't be aligning with the way the world chooses you to behave. I usually say we have the blueprint in the Bible. I always say that because when I look at it, it is reflecting to us. The Bible is very reflective. I gave an example. How should either live with each other? It's in the Bible. I'll go back to the point of information. If your emotions are a byproduct of the information, so what you should be concerned about is not your byproduct. It should be the source of information. Question is this: who are you listening to? Is the information verified? Can you align it to, let's say, for example, the Word of God, for you to say that this is my truth now? I try to be like that so that even in my own weakness, I don't want to deceive anyone. So I try to go back and understand, okay, God, why did you make things like this? Yes? I'll say this also. And I said it in the meeting. I said, there's one thing that this generation is training men to be: soft and delicate, effeminate men, and it's against the will of God. I will show you the scripture. I'll put it there. You see, I'm not sure, it's somewhere in Corinthians. What does that mean? Why would God detest a man who is effeminate? I read somewhere it expresses better, and I'd like to say, it said something like, God does not like a man who rejects his true nature, his true masculine nature. And this is what I think. There's a place for masculinity and there's a place for femininity. If we choose to switch sides, who will do what is expected of us? And I'll ask a very hard question, a personal question you need not answer me. Then why do you want to change? Is it because you feel like it? Because I don't think you can come with a very strong reason as to why it is justifiable for you to switch. But anyway, it's your life. That was a question for you to answer. But I feel like I need to say this for those who may be willingly seeking to understand and they want to listen. If God made you a man, seek him to make you understand what it takes to be one. I am in that journey. I can't say I have reached, because you see, the thing with life is, and I said it in the previous video, is life is progressive. You can live 1,000 years and still not know enough about who you are. It was only by the help of God will you understand who you are and what you're supposed to do. So you take that journey. It's unfortunate that our generation is lacking with people who are talking about this very well. Unfortunately, I usually watch a lot of things and I see that this is an area which is really neglected. It's quite unfortunate, especially when somebody secular is doing the work which I believe we should be doing as the people of God. And I'll use an example. It's controversial and I don't care, because whatever he was doing was good. Was number one, I looked at during the COVID time, Andrew Tate, his name is Andrew Tate, I think most of you know him, he was trying to make men not lose themselves. And he kept charging men to take control over their lives. Yes, I do not agree with many things he said, but I can't expect him to, because number one, I know he's not of our faith. But we can't deny that there are parts where he said things that are true. And I actually felt to myself, where are the men in the kingdom shaping men or guiding them towards this direction that is godly? Where are the men to stand up and shape the next men? That's what I think. And it's unfortunate, I'll say this, because men of our generation, we are being defined by things that don't make us men. A man will be defined about how much money he has. That doesn't make him a man. Like a man who knows who he is. Let me rephrase that. A man who knows what it is to be a man. I can't blame them, because all our lives we've been programmed that a man should provide, should have money for the family and all these things. But we forget that the man needs to be equipped as well. Yes? Same as ladies, there's a huge gap of mentorship of being. You know, the mentorship of understanding self before you can be something else. So these days, unfortunately, we find identity on things that are not in us. We find identity in positions of at work, identity in influence. But you see, you lose yourself. You who's influencing people, you lose yourself. You don't understand who you are in the process. And I feel it will affect your progress to a degree, because it will reach a place where you forget you're the one who's influencing people. Now people will start influencing you. That's why you see an artist who started drawing from expression is now drawing based on what the fans want. I don't think the power of expression is influenced externally. It's influenced internally. It's from you to others. But the reason why it's easy to get lost, and I pray that we are guided, God comes through for us in people who teach us how to walk this road, on how to be founded, like your foundation in you being who you are before anything else. It is you who gives the position identity. Because how you will take that position and actually move forward or make an impact, it is you. But these days it's the other way around. Identity is given on position. Now think about it. For example, the COVID crisis really took away a lot of jobs. A lot of people went into serious, what do you call it? You don't know yourself crisis. I don't know how to call it. But it was a very huge challenge, because imagine somebody who's been programmed for 20 years that they are a director or whatever, and then it disappears. Tell me where that person starts now. He's kind of lost. I'll say this, going back to the emotions part, it is information. So and I think this is the best way even to make people understand that Christ meant well for us. You know, he was concerned, and even in the scriptures, what he wants you to do more is know you more through him, because he's the one who created you, and he wants you to understand who you are in him. But you see, we are distracted with many things outside, which will never make us understand who we are. And going to the information aspect, it really shows you that what should concern us is what type of people are around you, because they have a degree of influence in the information you consume every single day. So if you want your emotions to be genuine, I think the best way to do it is by really reviewing your sources of information. And from there, your emotions won't be used against you. I usually say this, especially to gentlemen. There's nothing dangerous in this world than a man who thinks with emotions. I saw another video over there explaining how most of the people who are into these crimes of, they go and shoot schools and all these things, they were depressed and they were told to embrace their emotions. Because we are not the same, Now you tell a man that a man would express emotions two ways, matter of fact, pain and anger destroys. This is the most common for men. When you tell a man to embrace his emotions, those are the men who end up, unfortunately, sorry to say this, they may end up even killing their family and killing themselves. Because we were not wired to be like that. We were wired to go back to God and He helps us. That's how we are wired. I usually say the best example, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I usually say like, Adam was with God for a very long time. And the snake was there for a very long time. Thinking to myself, why didn't the devil actually tempt Adam and he was alone, even before Eve came, for example? And it went back to the same thing. He had a very strong bond with God that even the devil could not interfere. That's how I see it. Correct me if I'm wrong on the comments. I'd like to hear your perspective, but that's how I saw it. And I have another example, Abraham. Abraham walked with God. God told him to get out from wherever he was. He went with the Lot and Sarah and all that. He had serious faith in God, yeah? And then there's a place where he was convinced by his wife to sleep with the maid and all that. And in real sense, if you look at it, that would have backfired the plan of God, for sure, because that was not the will of God. But his friendship with God, listen, this is my best part of it. His friendship with God, after Ishmael had grown a little more, Abraham took Ishmael to God and tells him, God, here is the son you promised me. It comes from a place of friendship. You get? Abraham remembers, it's been a while since I've gone to see my God. He takes Ishmael and goes to God. Here is the son you promised me. God told him, no, this is not the one. Wait for the one. The one will come through your wife. Now I'm showing you, he almost, he almost affected his whole purpose. But only through his friendship made him go back to God and God corrected him. No, this is not the one. So as a man, I usually say, especially in the aspect of vulnerability, before even you're vulnerable to anyone else, be vulnerable to God. And He will show you what to do. Also, have good friends who you can speak to. I usually like putting this point because like there's a lady who asked in the discussion, so are you saying that men are not supposed to be vulnerable? Funny enough, I didn't say that. I don't know why that came to her mind. But she said that. I said, no. Be vulnerable, yes, but be careful who you are too. And another thing I clarified, and I hope it also goes further, is if ladies, you really want to understand why it may take long for even your brother, it doesn't have to be somebody you're dating, your brother, or somebody too, a male friend who's close to you. The only way they can tell you their vulnerability is if they trust you. I tell you the truth. They trust you. And there's one perception that I need to clarify to a degree. When a man says vulnerability is like a weakness to him, it is not based on feelings. Matter of fact, it has nothing to do with feelings. How man perceives is this information you can use against me. It has nothing to do with feelings. They look at it in a, I've shown you my secret, now you can use my secret against me. That's how they see it. It's not about feeling the way ladies perceive. That's the reason why men don't want to open up. No. It's a matter of trust and whether you can use these things against them. That's the reason why. I've given you the secret now. So you can't say, I don't know. It has nothing to do with whether they feel weak. It's not, when they say weakness, it's not because of how you feel. It's about whether you'll use this information against them. So on the topic of emotions, I'll go back to the point. I had a couple of questions by there. It's rhetorical, and I'll put it on the screen, and it's you to answer yourself. Is it wise to judge a matter from an emotional place, especially if you can't verify the source of your information? That's a question you answer yourself. The second question is, should we all have the same response to emotion, especially when we can't verify if we have the same information? Because that's another thing we do. Who is your source of information on a particular matter? Does this mean the best way to manage your emotions is not acting out rather than logically going through the information that triggers your emotion? My favorite one. Could it be we have perceived emotion all wrong from the beginning? With all these questions going through our head, you will realize you are actively thinking deeply regarding this matter. This is where I wanted all of us to get. Thank you.